an acupuncturist say to me? Because she scanned my body and she scanned my liver and she goes, you hate your job and it's not where you're supposed to be and it's overworking you. The chi is selling on you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, what is this worth to you? Is this paycheck worth everything I'm scanning and feeling happening in your body right now? And I remember that was what I needed to hear of like, okay, so you're honoring your mother with the big shiny job that she can brag to her friends about. And that's fierce. But what is the impact on you? And once you start to really see like, oh, wait, I haven't seen my friends in 6 months. My partner hasn't seen me because I'm flying in and out every 5 minutes and I always have a company function and I'm always working and my health is failing. I have anxiety now. I didn't have depression before. Like once she really made me see the reality of the cost, and it's like they say in business, cost benefit analysis, right? What is it costing you? And what would be the benefits of living a life that's more in alignment? I need abundance and overflow. And if I'm not living in alignment with what makes me feel fulfilled, so that's the whole point of being fulfilled, then you're full. If you're not living in alignment, you're empty. If I'm always on E, overdrawn, dry, salty, not good.
So then, in honor of filling the cup,
Uh-huh.
right? What role does emotional work play in being able to sort of break generational trauma so that you are not continually repeating or living within the space of only the mother-father wound?
Here's the part where people get to not liking me, but I kind of enjoy it. The answer to that is accountability.
Oh, ain't nobody ready for that shit.
No. And here's where, and I hate to say it, Black women talk about healing a lot, but this is the piece where people get tripped up, and I'll give you a great example. If you have, let's say, a father wound, which creates a lack of confidence and a lack of boundaries, you are going to choose toxic relationships, right? But instead of saying that, you're going to say, these men ain't crap. The dating pool is trash. They haven't healed. He hasn't done the work. You talk to me crazy, do one thing and I'm gone. But what you're not realizing is why are you entertaining wounded people? That takes accountability. To actually heal within yourself, you have to say, oh, my father's relationship with me was X, Y, and Z, which created X, Y, and Z pattern, which is why I choose things that feel familiar to that broken template. Oh, that's on me. I keep picking things that, and maybe it's subconscious, but at some point, that's why we say you have to raise your consciousness to become aware of what you're doing. Once you're aware of it, that part is on you. If that same wounded type of brother shows up once again and you still go with him, that's on you now. And a lot of people are in the healing work forever and ever because they don't want to do that piece of, oh, maybe the reason that I'm showing up super competitive and basing on everyone in a meeting at work and trying to compete is because I have a mother wound. And I don't have self-worth. I have self-esteem, which is based on my accomplishments and my achievements, which is why it's so important to me. And I fight people about it at work. That's on you. Once you understand the symptoms of a thing, see where you're doing it and stop. Right? And people never want to get to that part. Healing is active. Healing is in the decisions that you make and the choices that you make. Here's a great example. In the past, I dealt with men raising their voice because I didn't have the proper foundation to create boundaries. But here's what happens now. I started talking to a gentleman, and after 2 weeks, we had a disagreement. He raised his voice. He was not only hung up on, but blocked forever. There is no more conversation because guess why? The healing's on me. If I still stay around you to try to understand why brother, I don't want to understand. The healing is this pattern is not good. This type of person is not healthy for you. Make a different choice. That is active healing. Healing is in the doing something different and the being different and the showing up differently. My sister said this to me the other day. She said, I've actually noticed you have such an improved ability to self-regulate your emotions. That's something I worked very hard on. Again, accountability. So you know how many of my clients are like, this is why I don't go around unhealed people because I'll get to popping off. Well, maybe you should work on that in yourself so that when you feel the pop off,
that's not how that works.
when you feel the pop off, have the body awareness, see the signs, have some tools in your toolbox, know how to box breathe, count yourself down, go wash your hands with cold water. I had to actively take accountability and go, okay, so I have a mother wound. Does that mean I can go cussing everyone out every day? No. I'm not going to reach my goals like that. I have to take the accountability, understand that I'm showing up in a wounded state, and actively try to show up in a more whole state every opportunity I get. Do I fail sometimes? Yeah, I might have cussed a person out or two in the last year. But
Hey,
but a good
a
98.
therapist in me should also let you know that sometimes the people require to cussing out.
Hello, but it's like that 98%. Boy, I can feel my rate going up the more I work on myself of improved handling. It's like the thing you read earlier, right? Becoming more whole and healthy, decision by decision, and taking accountability for all those individual decisions.
I think that accountability is probably the hardest part, right? I think that even the part of going on the healing journey, right? Like someone goes to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are number one surprised as hell when they actually come into therapy and accountability is sort of wrapped up in the conversation, and they are not ready for that,
No.
right? Because it's almost like people expect you to blame who they
Oh
blame,
yes. Oh,
and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not your friend.
that. I'm here to help you grow.
And and I know that should be, catch people off guard. But I'm like, oh, I'm not your friend.
Real, real.
And this is not polite conversation.
Correct.
I'm like, I
I
don't know
love
what the
that you
people
said
are
that.
saying,
I
but
love
the
that.
work doesn't happen in the therapy room. The work happens after you leave. I'm like, I am your therapist. I'm looking like I'm going to help you with some thoughts. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to give you a different way of maybe thinking about something. But I'm like, the healing doesn't happen in the room. It
Okay.
happens when you leave.
Come on.
That's what you do. It
Come on.
happens with if you took what we said and did something
Find
with that.
it. Correct. And this
And
is
I
also
think that you're right that accountability is very difficult because then it means for some people, I think it's because they are in a shame
I was
cycle.
just going to say that. Yes. Because accountability, when you're in that space, accountability feels like blame, self blame. It feels like the same, but it's actually not. It feels like, oh, I'm bad and this is why. And it's like, no, 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 no. We started at a place. That place wasn't great. We learned some things to survive. The brain is a self correcting organism. It's always going to try to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing I try to impress upon my clients. The way you are now is a result of you trying to survive and keep yourself safe. It doesn't mean you get away with this shit, but it just gives you, I'm just helping you understand why you got here. But you're absolutely right. I think, and I hate to say it, but I think because Black women get beat up on a lot in society, it feels like beating up on yourself to take accountability. And it's why a lot of folks don't want to do it. And I remember, again, shout out to my therapist, amazing Black woman who I remember she said to me once, I was talking about a relationship. I was like, oh, why does he do this? And she goes, but here's the better question. Why do you entertain it? Why do you stay? No, let's not talk about him. Let's talk about you. Because we'll never get anywhere
And
analyzing.
always we'll talk about
Right?
somebody else.
Right. We'll never get anywhere analyzing people. Let's talk about why do you deal with it? Because there's more dirt under the tree there. And she was absolutely right. And again, this is where I think traditional psychology is the foundation for coaching, because here's the slippery part about coaching. Some coaches slip into being your friend and being like, I get it, girl, but we can, that's why I'm very leery of the women empowerment space, because a lot of it is empowering you to stay in your bullshit ways. And I don't deal with that.
I hope y'all heard that.
Okay. So this is why I love that in myself. I worked with a Black therapist who reminded me, no, we're here to grow. And that includes saying some things you may not want to hear. And also like lightly G checking you like a little piece, because you need to be able to see yourself and see reality and grow. It's almost like, I joke that all things work out the way they did. I'm glad that I had kind of the first half of the traditional like research portion and like, the original psychology degree still bangs. And I'm like glad for that, because this is the same reason that I don't like to hear things like high value and low value. That is not a psychological term. That is not research.
That is an economic term.
Hello.
And people are not money.
No, they're not.
And people you're not meant to be in a constant transaction.
Right. But you see why those slippery terms and people who support that, it creates a lack of accountability, because it's not you have an attitude. It's, oh, you're a high value woman, so you're not accepting BS. No, take some accountability. You overvalue what you do and you use it to punch down on people. Let's say real things. Let's not hide behind fake foolishness.
Because people are outside saying, I'm looking like you. I feel like there's no real nice way to say this, so I'm just going to say it the way I say it. I'm looking like, sounds like white supremacist behavior.
Clock it.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like supremacist ass behavior.
You
believe that your wallet gives you reason and power to harm other people.
Correct.
And to say that they are worth
Let
less
go. That's
because
it.
they have less. I'm
Correct.
just like, I don't think you understand the difference between worthless and have less. Someone who
Yes.
has less is
Ah,
not worth
correct.
less than you. A
Correct.
person is a person is a person.
Correct.
And quiet, I'm looking like
Correct.
people may not agree, and you know what? That's your business.
Mm-hmm.
But you are worth the same
Mm-hmm.
as Beyonce. You
Mm-hmm.
are worth the same
Mm-hmm.
as Oprah. You
Mm-hmm.
are worth the same as
Mm-hmm.
any a human is a human is a human. The
That's
thing
it.
is, we all have a life expectancy,
That's it.
and I need us to get right.
That's it.
But I do have a question.
Please.
So, what would you say to parents raising children
Mhm.
who are right now struggling to deal with the child's desires, seeing their child's desires as wrong or detrimental? Because I recognize that while I will never be a parent. Some people are parents right now
Mm-hmm.
and are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say to them?
I would ask them what might sound like a controversial question, but it's why did you have them? Because because if you had kids to fulfill something within yourself, that is selfish. Because as a parent, you are a portal. And if we want to go spiritual, your child actually chose you before they got here, meaning they knew you were the best portal to come through to be able to execute the destiny that they had and the purpose that they had. So the question for a parent is, why did I have them? Was it truly selfless if my main priority is to impress what I want to do upon them? And how can I, and I heard one of my friends who's a parent and a very conscious parent say this. She said, the question I ask myself is, how can I get out of the way? How can I get out of my children's way to allow them to be who they were supposed to be? So that's the question. When you have a desire and they have a desire, you have to ask yourself, am I in the way of who I feel like this child is supposed to be? Because they know that more deeply than I do. I'm just the portal. They know who they are. They know what they chose. They know what their purpose and their destiny is. So I have to honor, do I trust my kids? Do I trust like that I raised them well enough to lean on their intuition and their inner desires? Because when we try to override them, what we're saying is you don't have the intelligence to choose. You don't have the right mechanism, so I have to choose for you. Start to question yourself as a parent. Did I do a good enough job that I can trust your decisions?
That right there, because it's a combination of, do I trust myself that I was a good parent? The type of parent who helped you to be the best you could be, not the best me you could be.
Right.
And do I trust you to be able to move forward and do what needs to be done accordingly?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of parents don't trust themselves.
Absolutely.
And by extension, they are unable to trust their child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the saddest shit.
It is.
That I have ever heard.
It is.
Because I'm just like, you'll stump both of you.
I was just going to say that, because that fear creeps into the child and it limits the risks that child will take, which success comes through risk taking and failure. If you don't have enough trust in yourself to jump out there and know I have the tools to catch myself if I fall, you're never going to grow. And I think parents who don't trust themselves instill that programming in their children. So a lot of the questioning of your children is that you don't trust yourself or them. You know what I mean? Like, and here's why I know that to be true. My sister was at a place for 20 years, worked there for 20 years, and the business closed. And you know the job market, she was out of work for over a year. And I remember the places that my mother was suggesting that she should work. And when I looked at my sister's resume, I was like, what? That would be an insult and a disservice. And so I started working with my sister on just like mindset stuff. And she has since switched careers entirely and now works for like a super prestigious law firm. And I remember having a conversation with her where she was like, I would have never thought I could even apply to a place like this. And I was like, and that is the problem. That was the only problem. The problem was never that you weren't qualified for it. The problem was that my grandmother was risk averse. It made my mother risk averse. And all she was trying to do was keep you safe and offer you jobs that she knew you could get so you wouldn't get rejected or disappointed, because she's risk averse. Me, though, I'm not. So I'm going to tell you, spray and pray and apply for stuff that seems like it has nothing to do with you. And that's how we got here, right? Of if you have that fear, you're going to install it in your kids. And when I finally got wind, I was working a lot at the time, so I wasn't really tapped in. But once I heard like the messaging my sister was getting, I was like, oh, not they're giving you the old fear program. Let's see what happens when someone gives you empowered programming and tells you maybe you can do it. Just try it. Right?
Yeah.
It's not our parents' fault, but it is worth intervention in that limited way of thinking.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that into the space, because there are queer kids right now who feel like they can't be them because that's not what mama wants. That's not what baby wants.
That breaks my heart.
And I'm just like, I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and from something that I saw online, and I was just like, well, can you even have a child selflessly?
When you think you have kids?
I'm not having kids.
What you mean you're not having kids?
I'm not having kids.
That's what you was born here to do.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you
No,
was.
no, it's not. No.
Well, so you just want to be? You gonna be a wife?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, so you're gonna tell your husband you're not gonna have a kid?
That's the kind of conversation that you have when you're dating somebody. You let them know, like, I'm not having kids.
Why would you not want to have kids?
Why don't I want to have kids? I don't see any benefit.
For giving somebody life?
You have a kid and your life becomes about the kid. I want my life to be about me.
Oh, you selfish.
That's okay.
So it does beg the question of the why from the parent. Why did you want the kid? What purpose is the kid?
Right.
And I know that a lot of people talk about for help in their later life. And again, I want to say that's mighty white of you. Right? Because it sounds like slavery.
It does.
It sounds like instead of buying the person,
I just made them.
Yes. You just made the person. Exactly. And I'm just like, ooh.
It's giving slavery and no one agrees. But okay.
Yes, it's giving a repetition of the world around you.
Yes.
It's giving you haven't imagined a world where you don't have to have a child to take care of you. It's giving that you have come to be and grown to be complacent in how shit is right here, right now, that you couldn't even imagine better for your child if you tried.
Correct.
It's giving you didn't even try because you just said it is the way it is.
It is what it is.
That is what it is giving.
Right.
So I find that to be quite alarming.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, thank you, because I feel like you was giving secrets. And beyond the secrets, I'm gonna need you to close us out and just tell us, like, okay, so what is something if they don't leave with shit else? What do the people need to know?
That is a powerful question. What you need to know is that healing from any type of inner child wound is about you and not your parents. It's about understanding patterns in yourself that are not serving you to become your highest self and changing those. That's all it is. That's all it is. All this blame and finger pointing and all of that, let's cut that out. Let's figure out why I'm not showing up as my highest self and address that so I can reprogram it and actually just go on and be the bad bitch I'm supposed to be. That's really all healing is. That's all it is. And the other part I want you to be left with is you are not beholden to your parents. You chose to come through them.
They are a door.
They are a door.
Not own a person.
And not a trap door nor a jail door either.
Somebody needed that good word, and I want to say thank you for giving it. Where can the people continue to find you and to be in community with you?
Absolutely.
And what do you got coming up? So
thank you.
Somebody needs it.
So you can find me on all the socials at Nikki Valentine. That's INIKKI Valentine. You can also find me on my own website at nikki-valentine.com. And to answer that question, what I have coming up, I'm actually super excited about this. I have an immersive coaching program coming out in February, which long time coming. I've been, like you said, been working on it for a long time, never released it. The idea is a total transformation. So how do we take this healing block? How do we work that into daily wellness routines, actually reprogramming our mind, actually applying that practically? Because as I like to say, manifestation is healing applied. So once we heal, once we figure out how to live in high energy on a daily basis, how do we then apply that to actually build out a life that we want to in not a woo-woo way, in a very practical way? So I'm excited. That's coming out in February. It's going to be over 3 hours of coaching with me, live sessions once a week. So it's going to be pretty immersive. But I just feel like it's time to wrap up the things that I've been doing one-on-one with my clients and actually like push that out to the world. So I'm hyped. I'm excited. And thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing. My former Stranger Fruit pod sister, I always like watch and follow and look at all the things you're doing. So I think you have a lot of important conversations, and you are actively busting through the shame wall for a lot of Black women, and we need that. So please keep going.
You ain't finna make me cry. Thank you.
She said, "You ain't gonna get me.
You ain't getting me. You ain't getting me." Well, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for such a rich conversation. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself, your journey, your life with us. And thank you for reminding us that, we ain't broken people. We're healing people, and there is a fucking difference.
That's right. I love that.
And y'all can catch us on the next episode of Desire Dialogues with Dr. Donna. Make sure that you bring yourself, and y'all know that y'all gonna have some homework, so hang on. Y'all know what time it is. It is time for our unfiltered advice. And the advice it's gonna be pretty simple. Your life is your responsibility. I want to make sure you heard me, so I'm gonna say it one more time. Your life is your responsibility. Yes. I'm not saying don't know your life in context. I'm saying that you have to know that it's your responsibility. In the end of the day, when you acknowledge that you have been harmed or wounded by your parents or their parents or the parents before them, number one, we have to recognize that your parents didn't get it in a bubble. They got it from the world around them and from their parents as well. And that your parents are just people, flawed people, maybe funny people, but people nonetheless. And if you really sit in and think about it, sometimes they were 20-something-year-old people when they had you. And think about what you was doing in your 20s. Would you have had a people? Would you have made a person? Right? And what would you have given that person when you were in your 20s? If you are, a millennial, then you are 30 pushing 40, then consider what you learned about yourself and how you changed in your life and how that might have changed what you would have given to a child, right? I think that sometimes we forget that our parents are people, and I'm not saying forgive them. I'm not saying go and reconcile with them. I'm not saying have a conversation with them. I'm not saying do anything if that is not where y'all are already at. I am saying that I agree with Nikki. The forgiveness that you are looking for, the way of moving forward that you're looking for, does not require you to have a conversation with them. It requires to acknowledge that some of them is in you, that you have inherited traits, ways of being, ways of doing that come directly from them. As one of my friends said, and what her work is, or what their work is, has been in body size. Your body is an inheritance, right? It's your heirloom. But so are so many pieces about you. It is an heirloom that you got from them. Some of the habits that you have are things that you do because of what they did or didn't do, right? And I want you to know that. Know the context with which you came, know from which you came, right? And know the context, but know that we are not talking about placing blame, laying blame, and leaving blame. We're talking about knowing what the past is. This is a Sankofa movement. You're looking back so you can go forward. You're looking back so that you can know, oh, okay, this thing about me, this is maybe where that came from. This is the connection between that thing. And for you to choose for yourself, to know what your values are and whether or not the behaviors that you're currently exhibiting match with the behaviors that you have right now. If it matches with those values that you have right now. And if not, then what you finna do, right? Not just what you finna do for yourself, but some of y'all out here, y'all got kids. What are you going to do for them? Because I made mention of this post before, this Twitter thing from way back when Twitter was called Twitter. And I'm going to go ahead and read it because somebody needs to hear it, not just see it. For some folk, the ultimate act of masturbatory narcissism is having a child, a separate being created to correct your mistakes through their life. They can't be themselves when they are so busy with the anxiety and shame they feel for not properly being you. I wanted to make sure I said it because one of you is living as your parents. You're not being you. You are being their masturbatory wet dream. I'm saying this because one of you is going to be placing all of your hopes, your desires, what you want onto your kids, so much so that they will not have room to be themselves. You will repeat the cycle. I'm saying stop. I'm saying pause. I'm saying understand the relationship that you have with your people, with your parents, with whoever it is that helped to raise you, the community. I'm saying understand that context and then choose how you're moving forward. You are indeed the bee's knees. I hope to see you again next week for the next episode of Desire Dialogues with Dr. Donna. I know I'm not a singer, so I won't do it again in the future. Thank you. Bye.